Hey, Jen, thank you so very much for that wonderful introduction. Hello, everybody, and I am so excited to be with you all here at Vue Forge. So making sure my screen is being shared correctly, I do think it is. You all let me know if you cannot see it in the chat. This happens sometimes. Okay, so what am I here to talk about right now? Well, I want to really get you familiarized with the exercise document as well as the boilerplate code, because for the rest of this conference, you're going to be diving in and coding yourself, right? That's what we're here for. Wonderful, wonderful knowledge we can get from the speakers, but of course, also really wonderful to actually give it a try yourself. It's what really sticks it in. Okay. All right. So this is the exercise document that you can see on the screen in front of you. I am going to take the share link right here, copy it, and I am going to put it in the chat so that everybody has ready access to this. You should already have access to it, but this is just a convenience measure. Okay, excellent. So pre-event are the preparation steps here. If you have not had the chance to go through these yet, use this next bit of time to finish this up. Okay. If you have already gone through these steps and have successfully completed them, then you can take the next bit of time to look through the boilerplate code, kind of see some tips and tricks that are in there. I'm going to go over some of those with you as well. Or you could even go ahead and move on to exercise number 1. If you're done looking through the code and have a good feel for it, you could go ahead and get started trying to knock out exercise number 1. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual boilerplate code now. Over in my IDE, I have the project open. You've probably noticed this is a Nuxt.js project, okay? Probably gave it away here with this Nuxt config file. So the reason we chose to use Nuxt for this project is because Nuxt just provides so many different developer conveniences when building your Vue.js projects. You'll notice we are in SSR false mode here, so we're not rendering anything on the server, so we're not using that particular feature of Nuxt. On the client side, this is behaving mostly just like a regular Vue.js app, right? So a lot of the concepts that you learn during this event can be applied to a regular Vue app that you create with npm init Vue, just like with Nuxt, okay? All right, so that is one thing to point out. The other thing to point out here is that during this event, we are going to be using Supabase as our Web 2 backend. So this is, y'all, Web 3 is brand new to me. Preparing for this conference was my first introduction really to working with the blockchain and Web 3. And as Doug said, some of it really is just as easy as kind of learning a new API to interact with, right? A new API endpoint to hit. But one of the things I learned is that going Web 3 on a project doesn't mean the entire project is something new to us Web 2 developers. We're still going to create code that's very similar to what we've been creating before. We're gonna dash and sprinkle in Web 3 every once in a while where it makes sense. Okay. So that being said, we are going to be using Supabase, which is a backend as a service to store some of the data for our crowdfunding projects. Okay. Let me see here. One really great way to interact with Supabase is if you run npx Supabase status, right? You will get all these different URLs. And the one that I really wanted to point out here was this studio URL, okay? You're going to have some data inside of this database. And if you visit the studio, you actually get a really simple, open it up here, you get a really simple view of your database tables, okay? Didn't have to set up any new clients on my desktop. This is just built in to my project, which is really nice. Okay, excellent. What else do we have going on? In In the assets directory here is where you'll find all of your CSS code. So this is where things are styled. You won't have to really touch this. We do have several different components already predefined for you, and you will be creating some of your own throughout the rest of the event. Okay. Inside of this composables directory, we have some composables pre-made for you, and later on in the event, you will get to customize this use alerts composable and really get hands-on and see how exactly we made this. Okay. But for the most part, you won't be inside of this composables directory. Okay. Middleware, this is just a way to run code between route changes in Nuxt. You don't have to worry about that folder too much. Inside of the pages directory, this is provided by Nuxt. It's a really simple way to create routes for your application without having to write any code. Okay, so just because I have an index.vue file inside of my pages directory, that means in my browser, let's see, here is my local project. By the way, this should be kind of what you see when you're up and running to begin with. This is that index page. And if I were to go to, let's say, this technology page here, you see in the URL, it's categories and then some ID. Okay, this is the ID of the technologies category. That is supported by this page here. So you'll notice it looks a lot like the route that we visited in the browser. So /categories/ use these little square brackets to denote some kind of variable param, right? Some kind of URL param. So that's how file-based routing works in Nuxt, and that's what we're taking advantage of in this repo. Okay, what else do we have going on? Let's see, inside of public, nothing interesting there. We aren't doing anything on the server side, so we're interacting directly with Supabase from the client side and directly with the blockchain from the client side. So that's worth noting. Okay. I think it's really cool also to notice here in Supabase, the reason you were able to run, I think it was yarn db reset or npm run db reset, and have all of your tables already set up for you in Supabase is because of this migrations folder right here. Okay, it's a simple SQL file, and this is what sets up all of those tables within your Supabase database. Okay, also inside of seed.sql here, this is the reason you had data in each of those databases. Okay, so we're able to very easily share schemas across different users in our project, across different developers on the team. And we're able to easily provide dummy data with Supabase across all of our team members as well. Okay. We also have a tests directory here. This is going to come in handy working with Sauce Labs later on. They're going to show you how to write some automated tests for our project. We have the types directory here. And you'll notice this is actually really slim. And the reason it's so slim, and I love this, is because Supabase generates types for us based on our database model, okay, based on our database schemas. And so I don't have to worry about making sure my TypeScript types stay in sync with my database schema, okay? If you'll go to, let's see, package.json, and you'll notice here under this db reset script here that I'm calling npx supabase db reset, which is just built into the Supabase CLI. It resets the database completely for me. But then I'm also running npm run db types. And this npm run db types is this one right here. And this just uses the Supabase CLI to generate those types and then save them in a file in my local environment. So that's why I'm able to get these auto-generated types, and I don't have to worry about my types staying in sync with my database, which is really, really cool. Okay. Finally, we have a utils directory, and in this utils directory are just some helpful functions that you can use throughout the event. You'll probably end up using get X days from now, and these are just available if you need them. Okay. All right. By the way, I do see a comment here that says, I cloned the repo and everything worked, but I don't have a test folder. You know what, Alejandro? That's because this isn't what's in here right now isn't saved in the GitHub repo. I just have some logs. Once we get to the Sauce Labs exercise later on, this folder will be important, and you'll get to create it then. So I just kind of have that already from a different branch checked out. So don't worry about that right now. Okay, excellent. Let me see. I'm checking to see if there's anything else worth noting here. We do have so this .env.example. Inside of your .env file, you should take these Supabase env variables and add them into a .env file. You can copy that from .env.example and fill them in. So when I ran npx Supabase status down here, these are the variables that you need to add into your env file. Okay. All right. And I also, by the way, have these Sauce Labs env variables in my env file. These will come later on for the Sauce Labs exercise. Okay. The last few things to point out here is we are using Tailwind CSS. Vanessa later on is going to have an exercise where we dig into styling a form a little bit, which is going to be a lot of fun. So Tailwind is installed. We also have Daisy UI installed as well, which is one of my favorite ways to style a project. Okay. The other thing I wanted to point out in here is we have this .fun.profile or .funprofile.json file. This helps us fund the DevNet initially. And we have this crowdfund. Let's look at this one. This crowdfund.packed file. You're not actually going to be working in this file during our build and during the event. However, it is here for you to explore because this is exactly what's powering our project on the blockchain. This is that contract. Okay. It has been, or it will be deployed in a later exercise to your local DevNet. So if you're curious about how Pact works, you can check out this file. It's actually quite easy to read. I mean, it's not JavaScript, right? So I didn't immediately click with it, but I can get a good general idea without ever seeing Pact before what a lot of these things are doing. So definitely check that out if you're interested in seeing how the blockchain contract is working. All right. I believe that is it. I do see a question in the discussion over here saying, can you share the repo URL? And absolutely, I can. Okay, this is the repo Vue Forge episode 4. Let me share that in the chat. Excellent. All right. I believe I am open to take any questions on the boilerplate code at this time or any issues that anybody is having. Of course, I'd be happy to answer questions about that quickly. But we also have our Discord channel as well. The mentors have been really, really super amazing at getting on those issues very quickly there. So make sure you do use Discord as a resource as well.